When someone shows you who they are, believe it. It sounds simple, almost too obvious to be profound. But in relationships, especially ones where emotions run deep, we often ignore what is directly in front of us. We rationalize behavior, we justify poor treatment, and we convince ourselves that intention matters more than impact. But the truth is, someone's consistent actions are the most honest reflection of their character, not their promises, not their excuses, not the sweet words that occasionally escape their lips when they fear losing you. If her behavior continuously left you damaged, anxious, questioning your worth, then those weren't accidents. They were choices. People know exactly how they treat the ones they claim to care about. You might think she loved you, and maybe in her own broken way she did, but love without respect isn't love that can protect you. Love that tears you down, love that manipulates, love that plays games with your emotional well-being is a distorted form of attachment, not something that should ever be welcomed back into your life. You gave her your trust, your vulnerability, your loyalty, and she used those gifts as leverage to maintain control. That wasn't a moment of weakness from her. That was a pattern that speaks louder than any apology she ever offered. You ignored the red flags because you cared. You saw the good in her and believed that if you loved harder, if you were more patient, if you proved your loyalty, she would eventually treat you the way you deserved. But every time she damaged you, every time she dismissed your feelings, every time she walked away only to return, when it benefited her, she was revealing her true nature. And you weren't blind. You saw it. You felt it. You just didn't want to accept it. Why? Because hope is addictive. Because the fear of loss can be stronger than the fear of pain. Because you believed it was better to hold on to a broken relationship than face the uncertainty of being alone. But here's the harsh truth. Ignoring reality doesn't change it. Hoping someone will change does not make them capable of change. When someone repeatedly hurts you, they are demonstrating who they are and what they think of you. If they valued your heart, they would have protected it. If they feared losing you, they would never have risked treating you disrespectfully. When care is real, people behave like it's real. When love is genuine, it does not intentionally wound. At some point, you must hold yourself accountable for believing their lies over your own pain. That sounds tough, but growth requires honesty. You are not responsible for her actions, but you are responsible for allowing them to continue once you understood the truth. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. We cling to what we wish people would be instead of accepting who they are, especially when we are emotionally invested. But your heart is not a weapon for someone else to test their aim. Your trust is not a playground for someone else's immaturity. She damaged you because she knew she could. Because every time she crossed a line, she learned a dangerous lesson. You would forgive her. Every return after disrespect taught her that your love was unconditional while her loyalty was optional. That is not how healthy relationships operate. Love must be mutual. Respect must be mutual. Effort must be mutual. And if she intentionally put you through hell just to see whether you'd stay, she succeeded only in revealing that she was never worthy of the version of you she received. You may wonder if she understood the pain she caused. She did. People who care do not repeatedly make the same mistake. People who care may slip up once, but they correct themselves permanently because they cannot bear to watch someone they love suffer. But she watched you break. She watched you worry. She watched you doubt yourself. And she continued, that is intentional, not accidental. And you must hold that truth tightly, no matter how tempting it becomes to rewrite history into something less painful. Many men confuse attachment with destiny. They think God placed her in their life for a reason. Maybe he did, but not for her to stay. Maybe her purpose was to teach you what love is not, to show you your own capacity to give, to care, to stay loyal, even when the other person didn't deserve it. That lesson is a gift, but only if you learn from it. It becomes a curse when you return to the very person who proved they will not protect your heart. You deserve peace. You deserve mornings where you wake up confident, not questioning, nights where you feel secure, not anxious, a partner who considers your feelings before making decisions, someone who sees your worth without you having to convince them. Walking away from someone who harmed you doesn't make you bitter, it makes you wise. Because if you give a second chance to intentional damage, you are no longer the victim. You are a volunteer. You can't fix someone who enjoys breaking you. You can't save someone who treats your love as disposable. And you certainly cannot build a future on the ruins of repeated betrayal. Healing begins when you accept that the version of her you fell for never truly existed. You fell in love with potential, a version of her that lived only in your imagination. The real version showed up every time she hurt you without remorse. The most loving thing you can do for yourself now is believe what she showed you the first time. Don't rewrite her behavior into something softer. Don't allow memories to become fantasies. Don't let loneliness convince you to settle for harm just because it feels familiar. You are stronger than you think, and you will not understand how powerful you are until you stop allowing the wrong person access to your life. There is someone out there who will match your loyalty, not take advantage of it. Someone who will communicate, not manipulate. Someone who will love you properly, not use your heart as a testing ground for their insecurities. But you cannot meet that person if you keep returning to the one who proved they were incapable of loving you right. So when someone shows you who they are, believe it the first time. It will save you years of pain, countless tears, and the exhausting burden of trying to make someone love you the way you love them. You deserve better than survival mode. You deserve a love that builds you, not one that slowly destroys you. And your future begins the moment you finally walk away from the past that has already shown you everything you need to know. Choosing your self-worth over temporary comfort is one of the hardest decisions you will ever make, especially when your heart is still entangled with someone who repeatedly hurt you. There's a certain familiarity and toxicity, a routine built on emotional highs, lows, chaos that feels like passion, instability that feels like love. When she needed you, she knew exactly how to draw you back in a soft word, a tearful message, a promise she never intended to keep. That temporary comfort was a drug, and every time you gave in, you reinforced the belief that love meant suffering. But genuine love isn't something you must survive. It's something that allows you to thrive. You must face the uncomfortable reality that returning to her doesn't make you loyal, it makes you afraid. Afraid of starting over, afraid of being alone, afraid that maybe she was the best you could do. That fear is the chain that keeps you tied to someone who has already proven that they can live with hurting you. You can't continue sacrificing your mental and emotional health just to avoid feeling lonely for a short while. Your value isn't measured by who stays in your life, it's measured by who respects your boundaries, your heart, and your peace. When you tolerate disrespect, you communicate that your love has no standards. When you accept repeated betrayal, you are telling her that your heart is available even at the cost of your own dignity. And she will continue taking advantage of that as long as you allow it. Because temporary comfort is convenient for her, she gets to enjoy the benefits of your presence without having to earn it. But what do you get? Anxiety, doubt, sleepless nights replaying conversations, and arguments that should have revealed the truth long ago. You deserve more than to constantly question whether you are enough. The most dangerous lie you can tell yourself is, maybe this time will be different. Hope becomes a trap when it keeps you stuck in a toxic cycle. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. Stepping away feels painful at first, like ripping yourself away from something familiar. But that very pain is the proof that you were depending on her for validation rather than recognizing your own inherent value. Self-worth is not a feeling that grows inside chaos. It grows in space, distance, and peace. It grows when you no longer give destructive people access to your heart. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your loyalty is valuable. Stop acting like you need to convince anyone of that. The right person will never make you question your importance. They will never allow you to feel small or disposable. The moment you decide that your well-being matters more than temporary affection, you begin to rise. You begin to rebuild the parts of yourself that her behavior damaged, and you recognize that what you thought was love was actually dependency. Dependency is not love. Obsession is not love. Staying simply because leaving hurts is not love. Real love does not make you beg for respect. It doesn't put you in a position where you feel powerless. where you sacrifice who you are just to keep someone else comfortable. When you choose yourself, when you choose peace, you are reclaiming the strength that she used against you. You are showing yourself that you are worthy of more than emotional scraps. The battle is internal. It's between the version of you that craves immediate comfort and the version of you that knows you deserve a future filled with stability and respect. Choosing self-worth means accepting temporary discomfort in exchange for long-term peace. It means letting go of someone who only loved you when it was convenient. It means ending a chapter even when your heart still wants another paragraph. But that pain is healing in disguise. You must remember, walking away is not a loss. It's a step toward the life you were meant to have. You were not created to be someone's backup plan or emotional punching bag. You were not born to constantly prove your value to someone who refuses to see it. The moment she decided to damage you intentionally, she forfeited her right to your love. You are not abandoning her, you are protecting yourself. And yes, she may come back someday. They usually do when they realize the supply of unconditional love has been cut off. She'll say she has changed. She'll say she finally understands. She'll tell you she misses what you had. That's because she misses the comfort you gave her, not the love she failed to return. Don't confuse her fear of losing you with respect for you. Real respect is shown in how someone treats you when you're still present in their life, not when you've decided to leave. Self-worth is not declared, it is demonstrated. You don't say, "I deserve better," and then go back to the person who mistreated you. You prove you deserve better by removing yourself from situations that harm you. You show strength not with words, but with boundaries. Every time you resist the urge to go back, you are building a stronger version of yourself. One who recognizes that love without respect is dangerous. Your future self is depending on you right now. He's waiting for you to make the decision that protects his happiness. Imagine the life ahead of you. A life not spent arguing, not spent questioning, not spent trying to fix someone who refuses to take responsibility for what they've done. That life begins the moment you stop seeking comfort in the place that caused your deepest wounds. Growth hurts. Healing hurts. But nothing will ever hurt as much as staying with someone who destroys your confidence while claiming to care. You owe it to yourself to break the cycle. You owe it to the man you are becoming to leave behind the version of you that tolerated what should have been unacceptable. Don't let momentary loneliness drag you back into a relationship that already proved it can't sustain happiness. You are not losing love. You are shedding misery. You are not walking away from a soulmate. You are closing the door on a mistake that disguised itself as destiny. The world will open up to you in ways you cannot yet imagine once you choose self-respect over poisonous comfort. One day, you will thank yourself for walking away. You will look back and wonder why you ever begged for the bare minimum. You will see clearly that she wasn't the best you could find. She was simply the one you chose before you knew your worth. And now that you do, you must never again allow anyone to treat you as if your heart is something they can damage and then casually expect to have access to again. So choose yourself, not because you want to punish her, but because you finally realize your peace is priceless. Temporary comfort fades. Self-worth transforms you. And once you rise into that new reality, you will never again settle for a love that hurts. Healing requires distance, not repetition. You cannot expect wounds to close while you remain in the same environment that opened them. Yet so many people try. They return to the familiar because they believe comfort lies there, even if that comfort comes wrapped in pain. But you must understand, emotional healing is not found in re-entering the battlefield that left you bleeding. It's found in stepping away from it entirely. When someone damages you intentionally, when they show disregard for your heart, your emotions, and your trust, the connection becomes a source of injury rather than safety. No matter how much history you share with her, no matter how deeply you feel bonded to her, the relationship itself is now contaminated by that harm. Staying doesn't make you noble, it makes you a target for repeated suffering. Distance creates clarity. When you are close to someone who manipulates your emotions, the pain they cause becomes normal. Your brain rewires itself to justify their behavior. You convince yourself that the explosive arguments are passion, that the inconsistency is excitement, that the chaos is love. It's only when you finally pull away that you realize how toxic the environment was. The silence after the storm reveals just how loud the destruction had become. You cannot heal when you're still waiting for them to change. You cannot heal while constantly bracing for the next lie, the next betrayal, the next disappointment. Every moment spent in that space keeps your nervous system in survival mode: fight, flight, or freeze. Love should not feel like a battlefield. A relationship should not require you to sacrifice your mental health just to keep it alive. Distance allows your mind and heart to rest not in fear, not in uncertainty, but in peace. No contact is not cruelty. It is not revenge. It is not immaturity. It is recovery. It is a declaration that you finally understand your worth enough to protect it. Cutting off communication is how you stop the cycle, because as long as she can reach you, she can repeat the same patterns. As long as she has access to you, she can continue to play with your emotions whenever it suits her. Each message she sends, each call she makes, each attempt to pull you back in is designed to keep you from healing. She does not have to physically hurt you to damage you. Manipulation is just as destructive. You must allow yourself time to be alone with your thoughts rather than her influence. You must let your heart remember what peace feels like. Healing is messy, emotional, and slow, but it is impossible without separation. The space you create is where your self-respect begins to grow. You start to rebuild what she tore down: your confidence, your self-esteem, your sense of identity. Because in that relationship, you slowly lost pieces of yourself, convincing your heart that being diminished was necessary to keep her close. It wasn't love that kept you there, it was fear. Fear of starting over. Fear that no one else will understand you the way she did. Fear that you won't feel that intensity again. But remember, intensity is not love. Love is not supposed to feel like anxiety. Love is not supposed to keep you guessing, questioning, doubting. Love should bring peace, not emotional chaos. Once the distance gives you perspective, you will recognize how deeply you confused attachment with love. Sometimes you must detach in order to see clearly. And once you do, you'll see that she wasn't afraid of losing you. She was afraid of losing control over you. She never worried that her actions would push you away, because every time she hurt you, you stayed. And that taught her she could continue without consequence. By walking away and refusing to return, you force her to face the reality of what she destroyed. But more importantly, you give yourself the opportunity to heal from it. Healing is not just about letting go of her. It's about rediscovering yourself. Who were you before she made you feel like you weren't enough? What dreams did you have before her negativity clouded your confidence? What version of you existed before you wrapped your identity around her approval? Healing requires turning inward, not backward. You cannot cling to the idea of who she times could have been times while trying to rebuild the version of you that she broke. Distance reveals truth. When you step away, you see her actions without emotional bias. All the excuses you made for her, they no longer make sense. You notice that the apologies never came with changed behavior. You realize that she didn't care enough to protect your heart, and it becomes clear that returning would only invite the same pain again. Because people don't transform overnight, and those who intentionally damage others rarely change at all without losing what they took for granted. Every moment you remain away from the source of your hurt, you are actively choosing your future over your past. You are choosing growth over fear. You are choosing self-respect over attachment. The discomfort you feel now will fade, but the suffering you felt with her would have lasted forever. Pain and healing is temporary. Pain and repetition is permanent. So give yourself the grace of distance. Don't look back wondering whether she misses you or regrets what she did. Her emotions are not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to your own healing, your own peace, your own progress. Walk forward even when it hurts. The first steps are the heaviest, because your heart is still grieving what it wanted to believe. But with every day that her influence fades, your strength grows. One day, you will wake up and feel lighter. One day, you will look back and wonder why you ever tolerated such chaos. One day, she will be a lesson, not a loss. And the distance you created, the boundary she never believed you'd enforce, will become the very foundation of your transformation. Healing requires distance, not because she deserves to lose you, but because you deserve to find yourself. Peace is waiting for you, but it cannot reach you if you keep opening the door to what broke you. Walk away, stay away, and allow the silence to rebuild your soul. Let consequences do the teaching. It sounds almost unemotional, but it is one of the most powerful principles you can live by after someone intentionally damages you. When she hurt you repeatedly and expected you to stay, she learned a dangerous lesson that your love came with no cost to her actions. Every apology she gave without genuine change was a test. Will he still love me if I treat him worse than before? And every time you forgave her without boundaries, the answer became yes, but not anymore. Consequences are not revenge. They are reality. They are the natural price of disrespect. When someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, the only language that creates understanding is losing the privilege of your presence. You cannot teach someone how to love you by accepting their disrespect. You teach them by walking away the moment they show you they never deserved what you gave. So, freely. She may not have valued you when you were there, but she will feel the weight of your absence when you're gone. That silence, the lack of access, the sudden realization that you are no longer available for her emotional convenience, that is the consequence she created for herself. And it's the most powerful teacher she will ever meet because it forces her to face what she has lost. People don't appreciate consistency until it disappears. They don't appreciate loyalty until they can't call on it anymore. She thought you would always be there, no matter how carelessly she treated you. Now she has to live with the truth. Your patience had an expiration date. Your heart had limits. Your love had boundaries. She just never expected to reach them. But she did, and the door is now closed. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally cared about yourself enough to walk away. There is immense strength in refusing to repeat a cycle that only leads to more pain. Letting consequences unfold means you are no longer shielding her from the results of her own behavior. She must sit with the discomfort of knowing she played a crucial role in her own loss. She must confront the emptiness she created. And while she deals with that, you reclaim your power. You are no longer trapped in endless explanations, arguments, and emotional pleading, trying to make her understand how deeply she hurt you. That version of you is gone. The one who tolerated tears one night and betrayal the next. The one who believed promises without evidence. The one who thought his love alone could inspire change. Now the consequence is clear. She lost her access to your heart, your effort, your loyalty. When you refuse to give a second chance to someone who intentionally harmed you, you are setting a new standard for your life. You are telling the world and yourself that your peace is non-negotiable. You are not punishing her. You are protecting your future. You are freeing yourself from a loop that would have eventually destroyed you. Because repeated forgiveness without consequences only encourages more abuse. Silence becomes your superpower. You no longer react to her attempts to pull you back. You no longer respond to her sudden concern. You no longer entertain excuses disguised as emotional confessions. You become unavailable. And she finally understands that this time, the door isn't just closed. It's locked, and you have walked away with the key. However, consequences don't only teach her, they strengthen you. When you hold your standard firm, even when your heart aches, you grow into a version of yourself that you didn't know existed. You learn that you are capable of self-respect, even under emotional pressure. You learn that you are stronger than the attachment that once controlled you. You learn that walking away is not a sign of defeat, it is evidence of maturity and courage. She will feel the shift, and at some point, regret will come for her. Not because she suddenly discovered your worth, she always knew it, but because she never thought she would lose the privilege of having it in her life. Regret is the shadow that follows people who don't value what they had until it's too late. And for her, it will arrive when she sees you moving on without her. When she realizes your happiness no longer depends on her attention. When she sees someone else treated with the love she took for granted. But by then, her regret is not your responsibility. Her lessons are not your burden. Her consequences do not require your sympathy. You do not owe explanations, closure, or comfort to someone who caused you harm. Closure comes from understanding the situation fully. She damaged you, you left, and the story ends there. The greatest revenge is not anger, it's indifference. It's living a life full of peace and success that doesn't include the person who once tried to break you. It's waking up one day and realizing you no longer think of her, no longer miss her, no longer feel compelled to check if she changed. You didn't lose anything. You escaped something that was slowly destroying you. Consequences may seem harsh, especially when your heart still remembers the good moments, but love without boundaries is self-sabotage. Healing requires discipline, and strength means letting the weight of her actions rest fully on her shoulders instead of carrying it for her. You are not cold for walking away. You are wise. You are not heartless. You are healed enough to protect what remains of your heart. So let the consequences speak for you. Let your absence be the answer she never expected. Let your silence become the message she cannot ignore. And let your improvement be the proof that choosing yourself was always the right decision. She damaged you intentionally, and now she must face the reality that you will never again give her the chance to do it twice. Your future will be built on peace, respect, and loyalty, not on recycled heartbreak. You are moving on, you are rising higher, and the door behind you stays closed. Not because you hate her, but because you finally love yourself enough to never go back.